more bad news for Bill Cosby. He has a couple of shows coming up at the Tarrytown Music Hall in New York State. Shows that were sold out, but so far 1 in 3 tickets has been returned for refunds. Now I want to bring in Jeetendr Sehdev. He is a professor of marketing at USC and an expert in celebrity branding. Also CNN political commentator Mark Hill. Man, you know what? The hits just keep on coming. And this one, I'm sure you guys saw that emotional interview with Janice Dickinson we ran just a short time ago. Jeetendr, why do you think it took so long for this story to get this kind of attention?
You know, Don, you're absolutely right. It has been an awful 3 weeks or so for Bill Cosby. We've essentially witnessed the disintegration of one of the most loved brands in America, celebrity brands at least. Open secrets in Hollywood are really not new. You know, we have had them ever since, ever since the industry was born, really. It's an industry that is self-proclaimed to be built on smokes and mirrors. In the 1950s, we had Rock Hudson's open secret of, his sexuality. Mm-hmm. And today we're seeing Bill Cosby's open secret emerging. The reason why there are open secrets in Hollywood are very much because celebrities are brands and the perception of them has to be maintained. So what has actually changed, most interestingly, is audience perceptions, and this is actually pulling and breaking apart these open secrets. Audiences today are more suspicious, they are more savvy, and they are far more spin doctor proof than previous generations. And so 59% of America believes Bill Cosby is guilty of the sexual allegation charges, so they have very much spoken.
I want to speak more now about Mark Whitaker, because he wrote an almost 500-page authorized, I should say, biography on Cosby. It's called Cosby, His Life and Times. And he didn't mention the numerous accusations. So the question is Mark partly to blame here? And also I should mention that Mark Whitaker has an open invitation to appear here on CNN tonight. But Mark Hill, is he partially to blame for this, or did the media drop the ball?
The media in general dropped the ball. I can't blame Mark Whitaker for what Bill Cosby allegedly did in the past. But the problem is that Mark Whitaker is emblematic of what has happened consistently. People act as if Bill Cosby is Cliff Huxtable. People don't believe the allegations because they can't imagine that Cliff Huxtable would do it. It has nothing to do with Bill Cosby, the real person, because most of us don't know him. Again, this isn't about me saying innocent or guilt. I'm saying the type of media protectionism that we see around this is disturbing. I sat with Mark Whitaker over at HuffPost, and I asked him that question. I asked him very directly, how could you write a 500-page book and not mention the allegations? And he hemmed and he hawed and he said all sorts of bizarre explanations, but essentially said he couldn't independently prove it, and ultimately he would have to say, I don't know. And because he didn't feel comfortable giving a definitive answer, he didn't want to mention it in the book. But it's absurd to me that such an important dimension of someone's life, especially now, can be left out of the book. But people did what they needed to do to get access to Dr. Cosby. People did what they needed to do to get approval from Dr. Cosby. I was a professor at Temple University, and I saw the way the administration did that. When I critiqued Bill Cosby on the poverty stuff, nothing to do with sexual allegations, I saw the way the administration responded to me. They told me, you can talk about poverty, but don't talk about Bill Cosby.
Why is that? Because
always a sense that we need to protect Bill Cosby.
It's interesting, Mark, because the media did report on it, but they, unsubstantiated, didn't blow up until the comedian did his thing and talked about it, and then all of a sudden it came on, social media. But why did you say that Temple University came after you for that? Was it because of Bill Cosby? Did he call? Because I was watching Wendy Williams the other day. Wendy Williams said
he called.
She said she did something about the allegations that back in 1990, 1991, something then, and then she ended up in her general manager's office, she said, with Cosby on the phone, according to her account that she said on television, and threatening to have her fired.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sentiment. I wrote a piece in the Baltimore Sun on Bill Cosby in 2006, and within 24 hours, I had heard from 3 university administrators asking me why I would do that, and telling me that Bill Cosby called and asked about my tenure status. I was an untenured faculty, junior faculty member at the time. And remember, he's on the board of trustees, meaning that Bill Cosby ultimately votes on my tenure or not. So there's a power dynamic. And then the other thing that he does is, because he's rich, he's not just a philanthropist, he's also he also engages in what we call philanthropy. In other words, he has a kind of rule and tyranny by philanthropy. He dangles the check in front of you and makes you do what he wants you to do under the guise of promising you money. So many institutions do what Bill Cosby requests because they think they're going to get a big fat check. And although he never gave Temple the big fat check, I think that was a big part of it.
He resigned from the board today. And Jeetendr, I have to ask you, what advice would you give Bill Cosby. Does he need to address this now? What advice would you give him and his team?
You know, I think the challenge for Bill Cosby's brand at this point is twofold. You know, there's this element of forgiving, and maybe some die-hard core fans will actually do that. But the forgetting aspect, and forgetting such heinous and vile crimes, you know, allegations, which they exactly are, is going to be much harder for audiences to do, which is why the brand has essentially disintegrated. I think what is also interesting is that 68% of audiences that are aware of both the Bryan Singer trial and also the Bill Cosby sexual allegations are drawing associations. So audiences once again are becoming far more savvy and wisening up to the fact that there is a darker side of Hollywood in which the rich and powerful are preying on the younger and more helpless who are looking to further their careers in entertainment. So Bill Cosby's team has to recognize that this is a new audience with a new perspective. So whatever they come forward with better be authentic, and it better be transparent and real.
Jeetendr Sehdev, thank you very much. Mark Lamont Hill, of course. We'll see you back here on CNN soon.